we're looking at as 1/4 of the distance around the world, exactly, from Bosnia to Machu Picchu, and then we come back around again. And so we find anomalies like this, lots of different sites around the planet. But really there are so many, there are hundreds of thousands of ancient sites. You really have to choose the big sites, the well-known, the temple complexes, and then you start finding the patterns. It's a very interesting study, and I'm sure more will come out as we go through, with more discoveries are made in this part of the world.
Zamisao o geometrijskom obliku zemlje seže još u povijest pitagorejske škole u antičkoj Grčkoj. Grčki filozof Platon ta razmišljanja iznio u svom dijelu Timeji.
Well, if we go back to about 500 BC, 400 BC, we get Plato, the famous Plato, and he was, when he talked about the Earth, he talked about it being made of, like a football, made of 12 pieces of skin, and which would, if you put, 12 faces onto a sphere, that could represent a dodecahedron, which is 12 pentagonal faces. And so that's kind of an early reference, and he believed that the Earth was made up of these different segments. The later research really is last century, and you get people such as Ivan Sanderson, who did some research on the Bermuda Triangle, and he mapped around the whole planet where all these strange phenomena and disappearances, gravitational and magnetic anomalies happened. And he mapped around the planet, and he found that there were 12 sites he called the 12 Devil's Graveyards. And he noticed that when you join the dots, join these areas together, they create an icosahedron, which is a 20-faced, with 20 triangular faces around the planet. And when the points touch the surface, these 12 points, that's where all these phenomena happen. So that was the first real evidence of like a planetary grid at work on the planet, on the surface, and having an effect. Other researchers, there was 3 Russian researchers around the same time in the early 1970s, and they believed that the Earth had a crystal core, and that after millions of years of rotation, Earth and water and everything would form upon it. And the energetic signature of this crystal core is still present on the surface of the planet, so you could actually detect it using different instruments. And they believed it was more of a dodecahedron, similar to what Plato had said earlier. Bruce Cathy is another researcher who later discussed UFO flight paths all around the planet, especially in New Zealand, where he was from. Now, this was kind of a strange way of looking at it, but other researchers in France and other places had noted that as well, that wherever these UFOs are spotted, they seem to move in lines parallel to one another. And so it was like they were kind of following a grid system around the planet, almost like using the energy of the grid itself to power their crafts. But there's also evidence that could have been light phenomena, which is partly to do with geology and grid harmonics. And there's been a lot of other researchers who have put lots of ideas into this. I mean, one of the most interesting for me is like the Great Pyramid in Egypt being like the power center, like the geodetic omphalos, the center of the world, from an energetic perspective, but also from a geomantic perspective, and from a land-based perspective, because more land is if you go from the Great Pyramid in all directions, there's more land than from anywhere else on the planet. That's like the sort of gravitational, plug point, the power point at the center of the planet. And so everything came from that, and that's on the grid. And so there's a lot of evidence to suggest that these pyramids, these ancient sites, were actually like kind of power generators, and the grid was almost like what today we would see as an electricity grid or an internet grid, but they used it for different purposes in prehistoric times.
Lokacija našeg megalita K1, megalit Veliki kamen. Prije 6 godina ovaj megalit je bio u potpunosti prekriven konglomeratom, koji je sada iznad nas, podgrađen. Kada smo ga očistili, bili smo su njegove dimenzije od repa do glave 2,60 m, širina 1,40 m, debljina do 40 cm, sa masom od oko 4 tone. Na njegovoj površini nalazimo uklesane simbole neki nas podsjećaju na strelice. Imamo ovdje nove simbole. Ukupno 25 ugraviranih simbola na površini ovog megalita. Iako nije riječ o slovima, ovdje je riječ o nekoj vrsti pismenosti, jer ljudi su komunicirali među sobom. Vjerojatno jedna od najstarijih pismenosti u Europi. Tačno ispod nas nalazi se podzemni vodeni tok. Drevni su narodi znali kada stavljaju megalit iznad vode, a pošto podzemna voda generira energiju sa sobom, taj megalit prima tu energiju i polako je ispušta u okolinu. Kada imate jedan megalit, drugi, treći, četvrti seriju megalita, imate, što su drevni narodi znali, sveta mjesta, imate obilje energije. Sveštenici su bili u mogućnosti da komuniciraju sa spiritualnim dimenzijama, a obični ljudi sa dodatnom energijom da dobivaju imunitet. Evo nas na našem megalitu K2. Naš prvi jajoliki monolit imao je masu od 300 kg. Megaliti K1 i K3 3,5 i 4 tone. Megalit K2 ima 8 tona. Što dublje ulazimo u podzemni kompleks, ovi blokovi postaju sve veći. Pogledajmo nekoliko njegovih karakteristika. Sama površina izgleda kao da je neko lijepo modelirao, nastojeći da napravi reljef sa uzvišenjima, dolinama, rijekama. Nadalje, ova linija sa strane koja se pruža kao kod jajolikog monolita ukazuje da ovo može biti neka vrsta poklopca. Treća interesantna stvar krije se ispod samog megalita. Naime, ispod megalita imamo jednu ploču debljine 15 cm. Pruža se čitavom dužinom i megalit sjedi na njoj. Drugim riječima, ona je služila kao postolje. Vrlo važan arheološki dokaz da je neko izabrao ovu lokaciju zbog važnosti. Na nju postavio megalit i vezao ih vezenim materijalom na bazi kalcijum karbonata. Zašto? Čini se da imamo odgovor na to pitanje. 22 metra ispod nas imamo vrlo moćan podzemni vodeni tok koji dolazi u nešto udara ispod i račva se na dva dijela, lijevi i desni. I upravo gdje imamo ovu pukotinu, tako se kreće i ta podzemna voda. Kao što smo rekli, voda generira energiju. Kada je monolit bio izložen hiljadama godina toj energiji, počinje monolit da puca. Uzeli smo uzorke sa površine ovog megalita K2. Poslije na analizu. Urađene su vrlo sofisticirane analize, poznate pod imenima fazna analiza i rentgenska difrakcijska analiza. Imali smo samo jedno pitanje, da nam odgovore da li je riječ o prirodnom pješčaru ili je riječ o nekoj vrsti vještačkog kamena. Odgovor je bio, ovo je definitivno keramika. U Bosni imamo najveće piramide na svijetu, u Bosni je sve veliko i najveće. I ne čudi što imamo i najveću keramičku skulpturu. Jer iz arheologije znamo da su poznati male keramičke posude, keramičke vaze, a ovdje imamo 8-tonsku keramičku skulpturu. Zatim smo snimili ovaj megalit sa georadarskim instrumentom. Dobili dva vrlo važna zaključka. Prvi, da je on građen iz dva dijela. Iz osnove, oko 30 cm debele, i iz ovog površinskog dijela, odnosno poklopca, debelog 10 cm. Ali, kada smo snimali utrobu ovog megalita, došli smo do zaključka da je neko prvo izlio osnovu, a onda ovdje je postavio jedan ovalni predmet. I zatim sve zalio. I koliko god je monolit interesantan zbog svog vanjskog izgleda kao artefakt, on izgleda još važniji po tome šta krije unutra. Elementi koje imamo. Podzemna voda, energija, ona udara u površinu, aktivira taj ovalni predmet, on je okružen keramikom, keramika oscilira, vibrira i stvara elektromagnetno polje, a to je ono što mi možemo mjeriti sa našim naučnim instrumentima. 31 kHz je elektromagnetno polje koje smo ovdje izmjerili. Da bi postojalo elektromagnetno polje, morate imati vještački izvor, Drugim riječima, pred nama se krije primjer antičke tehnologije. Nimalo slično je našoj, ali tehnologije koja se može mjeriti našim mjernim instrumentima. Magistar znanosti Gabriela Lukač iz Beča iz Austrije. Prije 5 godina bila je volonter na našem projektu Bosanskih piramida, a danas jedan od vrlo interesantnih istraživača piramida po čitavom svijetu. Govorila je o manje znanim piramidama u Europi.
We have known pyramids, already known in the Canary Islands, in Sardinia and Sicily, and they are made of lava stone, so volcanic stone. But there are also pyramids made of stone in France and Greece, and a 2,000-year-old one in Rome, made of stone, small and in ruins. But what's more interesting is the unknown pyramids in Europe, and these are covered or hidden under hills. Like in Istria, in Motovun, you have 2 rows of each 3 hills, and they are only known as hill fort, 277 meters high, but they are probably pyramids, so stone structures hidden under these hills. And the clue for it is the orientation and also the alignment as the Giza pyramids and myth and legends. And we have about 4 locations in Italy, which is Montevecchia near Bergamo, and there are 3 hills. And you can clearly see, when you go on Google Earth, everybody can see it, that these are pyramidal structures, just covered by soil, because you can see the terraces, you can see the steps, and you can see all the features a pyramid has. So Montevecchia in Italy, and there's one also in Sant'Agata in Naples, and one in Piediluco near Florence. And there are more pyramids like in Maribor in Slovenia, and there they even call it Pyramid Hill.
Kako uopće razlikovati brdo od piramide prekrivene zemljom?
Each hill or each mountain looks somehow conical shaped. And some of these conical shaped even look like pyramids. But there are special criteria. First of all, you need to look, is there an orientation to the cardinal points, which means to northwest, east, south. And if there is such a feature, so such an orientation, then you have to look, well, is there geometric shape? Is there really 4-sided pyramid or 3-sided pyramid? Or is it just a round and conical or distorted hill? And then also you have to look, is there old ceremonial culture places? Have the old cultures been there? And is there also an astronomical observatory platform on top? And if these criteria apply, then you look further, underground tunnels, stone balls, and megalithic slabs, and so on.
Jedno takvo mjesto je planina Rtanj u Srbiji.
Mountain Rtanj seems to be an interesting location because its peak is said to be a pyramid, 177 meters base, side base, and triangular shape. I do not know the height, but it can be measured. But we do not know. It sits on top of the mountain. It is said so. Old myth and legend say so. Also the stone balls that have been found there, also megalithic slabs and megalithic tombs and stones.
Neobične kamene kugle proslavio je Arthur Clarke, koji ih je otkrio na Kostarici, ali
I have seen stone balls in Italy, many stone balls near Sant'Agata, near Naples. I have seen these stone balls also in Sardinia, huge stone balls, about diameter 150 centimeters. And I have seen the stone balls in Austria, same size, 150 centimeters diameter, but broken in half, so not as beautiful as the Bosnian ones or the Serbian ones.